I did it again. I took on a large project. So these are Atlas Mountain agates from Morocco. And these were polished by someone else. And then I was asked if I would take on the project of redoing them because it needed to be redone. Initially I said no, but I decided to go ahead and help out my friend. And this is what we're working with here. So these are the agates. These are very beautiful agates. Very large agates, but they need to be really redone. But you can see that it just needs to be redone. I mean, you can see the sanding marks. Look at that. Oh my gosh. It's so stressful to see this. Oh. So it is my job now. Got a little dry erase marker. I don't recommend using permanent marker because if it gets inside the cracks and crevices, really hard to get out. But what I'm seeing, if you couldn't tell before, we have sanding marks going this way. We have sanding marks going this way. We have sanding marks going this way. They're just going all over the place. Oh, going that way, going that way, going this way. This is why whenever you're working on a stone, you stick with the direction. Let's say if you start going, using the, like, say if I'm working on a wheel, working in this direction, we're working in one straight line, and we stay with that direction to avoid this kind of mess that's gone all over the place. So the first step is take it to the 100 grit sanding wheel on my Expando drum machine, and pretty much bring this finish down to a really rough sand, and hopefully get all the scratches and everything else. Because even down here, if you look close enough, so zoom back in again, those are from probably a diamond wheel when it was being ground down, and we need to get those out because it's messy. This rock has so much beautiful potential, and it doesn't look good. And even the surface itself, it's not super flat. I sure had a ruler ready. It's not super flat. So what's going to happen is we're going to use the Expando wheel to sand everything down and go through the higher and higher grit stages, and then use an angle grinder with a polishing pad to do the final finish. And this one's even more like warped. You can kind of see with the light a little bit. See how the light just kind of like dips down? This one needs a lot of work. So that's what we're doing today. We're going to fix these. Since this agate is so large, I can only work half of it at a time with my setup. So I can only work right up to about here. And then when I'm done, I will flip it around, keeping in the same direction that I have been working, and work this other side. There are larger machines to be able to do projects like this, except I can't afford that. I don't make that kind of money on this channel. Highland Park does sell bigger like bull wheels and sanders. Like this one right here. It's got the one sander right there. Then it has a polishing wheel on the other side. Oopsie, I didn't want to do that. But I can't afford that kind of money. Hold on a second. Okay. Yeah, I can't afford that kind of money because ideally it'd be nice to have this setup where there's two sanders that we can have one grit for each side. But that is it's a lot of money for me. I can't afford that. I would love to be able to afford to purchase something like that because it'd be awesome for these large projects, but I don't have that kind of funds. So please like the video, share it, watch those ads. But let's go ahead and get started on this. This is going to take a while. Man, it's going to take a long while. So enjoy. To start things off, we're using the 100 grit, and I am going to use water for this part of the process because if I don't use water, if I run the belts dry for like lower grits, it has a tendency to kind of mess up agate and chalcedony. So we're going to start off with using water, and then after we go to the higher grit stages, then I'm going to test out in small areas running the belts dry to see how it looks. But for now, we're going to start off with 100 grit. Start on this side? Yeah, start on this side. You see right here, That is where I'm having a hard time really getting in there, because like I said, they must use like an angle grinder on this, because there's a lot of like high and low spots. So this is actually a low spot down here. So the belt is actually having a hard time getting in that little cranny. And you see I have these little white spots right there. That is from, they probably used a diamond grinding disc and left really deep gouges in there. So this is going to take a while. The sanding is already looking better, as far as, you know, not having weird scratches all over the place. So this will just take an extra little while to do this project. Having an air compressor in the shop has been amazing. So a lot of times when I'm working on stones, I have either a towel or something on standby to dry the stone off, and then I'll blow on it, or I'll use a fan to help dry it off so I can kind of check the condition of the sanding process. But now I have an air compressor, and all I have to do is and we're good to go. This thing has been awesome. But I wanted to show you all the progress on this so far. So I've only did this one so far, and I thought I was gonna have to like switch back and forth between the belts, and it turns out I didn't have to. I just kind of angled the stone kind of upwards some more, and then that kind of avoid the touching the base down here. But the one on the left is before we even touched it, so you can kind of see all the sanding marks. This is from somebody else. The direction is going everywhere on these things. Of course, that's water over there. And then what makes it worse is these little white parts all over the surface. These have been a pain in the butt to get on the other piece. But look at that. They're everywhere. And what I had to do is I had to put a new belt on the machine. I mean, this is still a pretty new belt up here, but I need like a fresh belt in order to get these out. Using water the whole time for this process, because again, if I run the belts dry for low grits, I run the risk of damaging the surface. And here's the surface of the other half after grinding down with the 100 grit belt. It already looks so much better, and we still have a few more steps to go. But let me tell you what, this is a little bit of a pain in the butt. But it's coming out. That's gonna be a beautiful piece. Yeah, whoever did that should watch my videos on how to polish rocks. I'm going to be running this belt dry. So these are wet, dry belts that can be ran either way. But you do have to be very careful. I do have a respirator, and I'm going to be opening up the garage door to let all the dust out, because I have a fan. I'll be having a fan going at the same time. And the other issue is you can run the risk of damaging your projects if you don't know what they're doing. For the polishing process, I'm not using my big wheel. I'm actually going to be using an angle grinder. This is the Stadia angle grinder. I'll have a link to everything on my link tree because you can get this on Amazon. And we're going to be using the cerium oxide with this angle grinder. And we're going to put it on low speed, a little bit of water, not too much, because if there's too much water, the cerium oxide is going to go everywhere. We don't want that. And I'm using a vise on a chair, and I have it really in there. Then that way I can use both hands to add as much pressure as I possibly can without tipping over the chair to polish this out. But that's after the 1000 grit, and hopefully we can get a good polish. But we will see. Get this. It's a little damp. You don't want it too wet. If anything, I'm going to turn it on just to get rid of all the excess water. A fancy little toothbrush here, and I'm gonna put some cerium oxide on the wheel itself. Really get it in there. This is the Gorgon Glass Company cerium oxide. You get it on Amazon. I'll have links to everything in the description. And then what I like to do, you don't have to do it, is I like to add just a little extra cerium oxide onto the piece itself. And before I go too far into it, make sure there's no excess water on it. Okay. And here we go.